You are listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
Have you been hurt, been backstabbed, got a talking back team? Well, you're not alone. No. Escaping to another reality through Dominic Wilkins' good books, audio books, paperback, ebook, good books. Available on authordwilkinsgoodbooks.com.
Hey, how y'all doing? This is Dion Cheese. I'm the author of Who Am I? The Chronicles of Cain. I'm on Jerry Royce Live Worldwide. So I hope y'all enjoy the show.
You are listening to PositivePower21.org with Jerry Royce.
What up? It's your boy Kano Kingston.
Hi, this is Angel Sessions.
Hey, this is Pat. Hi, I'm Teresa Powell.
Hi, Jerry. This is Ira Sandro Carter.
Hi, this is Phil Powers.
Hello, this is Teresa Bobby with Jerry Royce Live.
Hi, I'm Philip Barron. I'm live on the Jerry Royce Show.
Hey, what it do? It's your boy Houston Saint.
Peace, this is Dahlia the Poet, spoken word artist.
Hello, this is Mama Keith with Jerry Royce Live.
All right, everyone. You got Robin Lynn, and I'm keeping it live right now on Jerry Royce Live.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? What's up? This is a award-winning podcast with the greatest podcast on earth. Thank you for stopping by. I'm your host, Jerry Royce Live Worldwide on Internet Radio, where you get your positive on. So when it's all positive, it's all power. That's positive power. This is a worldwide podcast for growth, wealth, and success. Thank you.
Think you know how drugs get in those little brown bottles? Think again. Set in the green hills of western New Jersey, inside the gilded halls of power of a U.S. pharmaceutical company where decisions are worth billions of dollars and human lives worth less. Nicholas Harding, a young executive at Marshall Pharmaceutical, finds his career, family, and life in jeopardy. The Farmhouse, a suspense thriller novel by Bill Powers, published by Donna Inc. Publications, available at Amazon.com or DonnaInc.org. Go to Bill's webpage at www.authorBillPowers.com.
Are you looking for the next great read? A book filled with love, passion, betrayal, and intrigue. The award-winning novel, Season of Change, by Tamika Patrice Kane, is sure to satisfy your literary sweet tooth. Check out this must-read book reviewers are calling uplifting and emotional. And exceptionally great read, deeply intense and thought-provoking. Order your copy today, available in paperback and ebook on Amazon.com or at www.tamikapatrice.com.
Are you an author looking for promotional services or a reader looking for a great read at low prices? In this competitive world of books, Writing Royalty Promotions is dedicated to bringing authors and readers together to build a greater respect for literature through our various promotional services and online bookstore. So head over to WritingRoyaltyPromotions.com and check us out.
Thank you, everybody, for joining us, and welcome to PositivePower21.org. I am Jerry Royce Live, and you're listening to episode 326 with CEO Dion Cheese of iUrban.org. That's right. He's here to talk to us about his website and his business and what he's trying to do to help the African-American business or the small businessman. And we're going to get him on here in a few seconds after we hear a word from our sponsor, Mr. James Shea at jamestheshea.com. He's the romance man with the poetry books, so check him out.
Are you looking for a great book of poetry that is romantic, heartfelt, and full of male emotion? Then get Thoughts, Love, and Reflections by James K. Deshay. That's D-E-S-H-A-Y. Go to www.jamesdeshay.com. You will enjoy Thoughts, Love, and Reflections.
All right, that message was brought to you by James Deshay at jamesdeshay.com. All right. My guest is Dion Cheese. Again, he's the CEO of iUrban.org. iUrban author Dion Cheese is an African-American writer that penned Who Am I?, The Chronicles of Cain, Explain-it-to-her-momma, and Caught Slipping. That's right, he's an author too. Formerly a hip-hop recording artist, father, convict, and drug dealer, Dion was born in northern New Jersey, the seventh of 8 siblings, raised in the inner-city section of Plainfield, New Jersey. His life was anything but Norman Rockwell portrait. Life was hard, cold at times, and cruel. That's right. Crime and drug-ridden, Dion avoided the lures of selling drugs and or using them. Coming from a family where everyone has succumbed to one or the other, he somehow managed to have the force of will and vision to step outside his world, becoming the first in his family history to go to college, attending an NJIT college to pursue a chemical engineering degree. That's right, chemical engineering. That got sidetracked, however, when in his late teens during the 1980s, he felt the pull from his large break of his brother, who was creating in the world of hip-hop music, Robert, a.k.a. DJ Cheese, better known as DJ King Cut. In his late teens, was already he was a multi-award-winning DJ world champion and later inductee to DMC Hall of Fame. And I'm going to have him tell the rest of his story, so I don't read all of his bio because it's about 2 pages long. Hey, Dion, welcome to Jerry Royce Live. How you doing, man?
Hey, man, I'm all right, and how are you?
I'm doing awesome, bro. Thanks for joining us tonight, man. I know you're a busy man. You got a lot going on over there, being an author and a CEO of the big-time website that everybody's talking about, iUrban.org, man. And before we get into talking about your books, my audience, state of Maryland, D.C., Virginia, they love to know a lot about the artists before they start talking about what they're selling. So for the sake of my audience, man, who is Dion Cheese?
Well, let me start. I would always describe myself as, I guess, a humble individual. But, you know, I was born and raised in New Jersey, came from a large family. You know, it was 8 of us. I was the 7th out of 8 children. My aunt that lived next door, she had 7 kids, and my other aunt had 13. So we was basically like a big army. So if any trouble ever came our way, we didn't have to go get friends. We had enough there. So so we were in the Duckers. And you know, like basically, like I said, I grew up. You know, at first I grew up in Edison, New Jersey, in Potter's Crossing, and it was like a little small thing, you know, like a little small community. Actually, we was like probably like the only black section out there in the city of Edison, and there was like a whole lot of, you know, back then you had to fight, you know, you had to get out there and have the little fights in the circle or whatever. And then eventually, at the age of 9 years old, I moved to Plainfield, New Jersey, and that's where, you know, I graduated from Plainfield High School in '86, and then I went off to college. You know, the following summer, I went out to NJIT, and then later on down the road, I ended up having my son. But between then and there, you know, growing up, you know, we had our moments, you know, no electricity, no food in the house, you know, just things like that. But you know, I know most people probably might look at that as sad, but a lot of times, even though we didn't have electricity, we would sit down by candlelight. And I would listen to my cousins and my mother and them just, you know, they tell their little war stories, and, you know, we'd be in there laughing. So it was like, that was like the times that we actually bonded. And my brother, watching my brother, you know, speaking to my brother, because my brother, he like toured with Run DMC. He was the first, he was a world champion DMC contest back in '86, which was basically he was signed under Duke Booty, who wrote the song The Message. And but Duke was the type of person, you know, he really didn't treat his artists fair. So, I mean, he was signed with Cynthia Robinson, and she basically took her artists, you know, for their money. And then basically my brother and them didn't really get paid a lot of their royalties and things like that. And that's like some of the stories that nobody never really hears about. Yeah. And he ended up, you know, he had Beauty and the Beat records. And the record, you know, my brother record that went gold at the time, he toured all around the world, but he never really had any money because, you know, he wasn't really getting paid. So, like, you know, so Duke had a whole roster of artists and things like that. So when they did the song King Cut, he basically used some of Run DMC. They decided they wanted to sue him. So then they ended up buying, you know, the group from them, from Profile Records, and he started touring. So then at that time, that's when I started doing like the hip hop. But, you know, we had like the little brother rivalry. So it's like if I would grab the mic, he would turn the mic off or whatever. So I just kept doing what I kept doing. And then eventually I ended up, matter of fact, it was crazy because he wouldn't let me rap for him, but then he had introduced me to my manager, Bruce T. Dugan. And Bruce, I was 17 at the time, so he stepped in, he mentored me, and we actually was doing pretty good. I was like the first artist to get in Teen Machine, which was like an all-white magazine then. I was in Black Beat magazine with like Janet Jackson and all those, so I was actually like the center for Heartthrob of the Month at that time. So it was like, yeah, I was kind of flattered by that one. So I ended up I was only supposed to get a half a page, and then once I talked to the magazine owner, Marie, basically I was given like 4 pages. So I was like a full-blown, I got the front page of the magazine.
Wow.
And after that, like I said, I had my son shortly afterwards. So, like I was just being around the neighborhood, you see the drugs going on. I was like, nah, I'm not trying to do it. So I worked my little in jobs, had little fast food jobs, restaurants, whatever I could get. And when I had my son, I didn't want to see him go through some of the stuff that I went through. So, my son's mother, at the time I was like, she was 19. I had just turned 20 when we had him. So I got into like a little spat with her stepfather. He shot a gun in the basement. So I told her, I said, well, look, just get your stuff, let's go. So I was like, give me whatever you got. And talked to a couple of friends, and that's how I ended up hustling a little bit. So then, like I said, I had started, I was already rapping and stuff. And so what I did, I just started getting more serious about it. Started investing, because like Bruce, he was doing good at the time. When I first met Bruce, he had a nice big company. So he was like, come on and work for me. But, at that time, I was like, man, I got to eat. I couldn't really, I really couldn't, I wasn't like focused like I was supposed to be. And then his business had ended up going under because he had a partner, and his partner made some bad moves. So he ended up losing his trucking company. So, but we always, we was always still together. We were still doing a lot of things, and he was like, doing his little business. He was building back up, but he still was helping me with the music. So eventually I ended up catching my first drug case later on, about a couple of years later, and I ended up doing like, I went to trial. So I got 3 years, but it was crazy because they had offered me, that's when the school zones came out. When they had the school zones, it was like, at the time they was giving people like, 3-year mandatory sentences, and they were 5 to 3. So they offered me a 3-year sentence with a 1-year mandatory. So at the time, I was young, I was like 20 years old. So they offered me the time, like, I think I was 22. Yeah, I was 22, just about to go on 23. So they offered me a year. So I'm like, man, I can't do a year. I was like, man, a year? I said, oh, no. I said, that's too long. So my brother was like, my older brother, he had been through time. He did stuff. So he was like, look, man, he said, that's a good deal. You better take that deal. I said, a year? I said, oh, man, I can't do a year. I said, nah, I'm going to trial. So I ended up going to trial. I ended up getting 3 years. So I served my time. So then, that was like in 95 I got out. So I didn't have no parole or anything. So I came home, got a job, was working, doing like a little construction job. So, and having a record, like my brother got me the job. So then like about when my brother came home, my brother, he was getting high and everything like that. Then he stopped getting high. So he had got to sit like together a little bit. But he had ended up dying from cancer. So, yeah, I used to get the job so when I got the job, we was getting a ride with this guy. So he quit the job. I'm trying to get another job. So, I got to the point where I was looking for jobs and when nobody hired me. So, I walked down the street, people beeping horns at me, like, yo. So I'm like, man, I'm sick and tired of walking, taking the bus, doing whatever. So eventually I just got right back into the same thing I was. But then when I got back into it the second time, I had started another label because I had a label before I had got locked up before, called Big City Records. And then I started another label called Upfront Records. And now this one I was in West Virginia. So while I was in West Virginia, I was making probably like $20,000 in 3 days. So I started, but I was always an investor. I never was like, I didn't get high. I wasn't getting drunk. I didn't drink. I didn't smoke weed. I always kind of took care of myself. But I always had a straight mind. Like I said, because I was like basically, I was college bound. I was going to school for chemical engineering. I was getting good grades and things like that. So, out of 597 students, I think I was like number 13 in the ranking of the school. So then, I started going back into that. But like right before I was supposed to went on tour, a month before I was supposed to be on tour, my cousin's girlfriend wore a wire on me. So I ended up getting like a 20-year sentence. So
wow.
So I was young, I was like 20, and I'm like, man, it was like 20 years, and I'm like, I didn't know what to think. So And that was with a cop out. That was with a plea. So people don't understand about the federal system is the fact that they treat crack cocaine and they treat cocaine quite vastly different. So if you get caught, basically, let's just say if you get caught with some crack cocaine, which is basically at the time that I got sentenced before they changed the law, if you got caught with a packet of crack cocaine, you would get 5-year sentence. In order to get the same thing for the cocaine, you actually have to have basically of 500 grams to 1 kilo, which is basically the size, of a small bag of sugar. So you can imagine a packet of sugar. And the ironic part was that, in the federal government, under the statute, basically we're sentenced under the Food and Drug Administrative Act, which is Title 21. And Title 18 doesn't really, that's where the criminal statute is at. And they'll get you with that with the conspiracy, but they basically turn you into a corporation. But it takes almost 85 times the amount of cocaine to get you that same sentence that you would the crack. Wow. So the crack basically, so for having like a small amount of crack, and what the whole thing was, even like when I got caught, I didn't have no guns on my case. I didn't get caught with a lot of drugs, and basically you're getting sentenced for hearsay. We call that ghost dope in the feds, so they would call it ghost dope, because you basically had to prove that you never had the drugs that the prosecution says you had, or the witness says you had, but he ain't got. So you have to prove that you never had the drugs that he said you got, but he ain't got them. So you have no laboratory, no hardcore evidence, basically with hearsay, and then they would aggregate the amounts of drugs you had. So if you had somebody maybe like he was a crackhead and he might have bought maybe a few grams here and a few grams there, they would add all that up, and then they would come up with their sentence. So, but like I said, if you had like a half a key of crack, and they would have caught you with a half a key of crack, you can forget about seeing the streets ever again. But it would take somebody to get caught, like like I was talking to guys, you got like white guys would come in there, and they might get caught with like 16, 17 kilos, and they get a 10-year sentence. And then you got somebody with crack, they got like 2 ounces, and this guy over here would be sitting with like 15, 20-year sentences. And when I came in, if you had 10 years, they would tell you go sit down in the corner and don't say nothing, because it was like everybody was getting double digits. So, and that was the type of thing that I went through. So, like I said, when I was in jail, I mean, I stayed in the law library. I literally like learned the statutes. I mean, like I would quote them like there wasn't nothing. I could tell you like what title it was. I could tell you the sentencing guideline table. I could tell you, go to chapter 5, Part A. I would tell you look under 2D 1.1. I would tell you like 18 U.S.C. I could just tell you all the statutes like like they was the back of my hand, because I knew I wanted to get out, and I wasn't really trying to get out there and go back and testify on nobody and then get killed on the streets or whatever. I mean, you bring yourself down, then you got to handle what you got. So because a lot of people they snitching, but like I said, a lot of people say what they won't do. And you'll never know what a man to do until they get into that trouble. Now, when they start, because like I say, in the state, you got taught them 3 years or whatever. Now, when they start whispering them football numbers and they start talking about 15, 32, 25, then there's a whole different ball game. So, like I said, as I was in prison, I caught my case in West Virginia. So I was far away from home, because my mother and my father was originally from West Virginia. But like when I was born, it was already. Yeah, they was already moving up north. My mother had moved up to New York first when she was like 17. And then, I was born, like I said, I was like the 7th out of 8 children. So then that's when my mother had settled in Edison. But like I was saying about the feds, I started off, I was in West Virginia, and I stayed there for about 2.5, 3 years. Then from there, I went to Lexington, Kentucky. I stayed there for 6 years. Then they sent me back to West Virginia up in the mountains in Glenville. I went to the camp, stayed there for 5 years, and I ended up getting into a fight with this big white guy, and I had to put the hands on him because he had a lot of mouth. Because like I said, he was going into that territory, and basically, and I'm not one to be, I'm not racist or nothing, but basically it was like being in hillbilly city, for a nice word. They thought they could talk to you any kind of way or whatever. So we had words, everything went down. Then I ended up going from there. I was in a hole. So, like I said, I used to write a lot of poetry. I would write, letters for guys. I would do a lot of legal. So people used to always like, man, why don't you write a book? And I was like, man, I can't write no book. I said, I never wrote no book. So while I was in the hole, I had a friend, and he was writing this book called I forgot what he called it. It was about, I forgot the name of the book, but he was writing a book. So he asked me, he had got stuck. So I said, well, I started writing a chapter for him. So when I wrote like the chapter of the book, we went back, we started reading it. So we laughed and we looking at the story, and then it was good. So that's when I came up with the idea for the Chronicles, for Who Am I, the Chronicles of Cain. So I started writing that one, and it was like, it's basically a drug story, but it's based on a whole different conceptual back. You know what I'm saying? Like a lot of my characters and my stories, and a lot of people got to understand is that, like when I write, I take inanimate objects and I try to make things that you would see commonly, and then I would turn them into a story. And for a good example of that is my second book, that Explain-it-to-her-momma, which is basically a book. Now, what's crazy about the book is about sex, but it's not really like a sexually oriented book. And what I mean is, it was about a guy. Basically, his name is DJ, and DJ went to jail, but he came up with some skills. Okay. And, he became a plumber. He got a little skill, so he gets out of prison. And my other character, his name is Dick Johnson. Now, Dick Johnson is actually his penis. So the penis is like telling the story. So he's like getting him in trouble. So that's who the main character is. Like, so it's like, but the way he's telling the story is like the little head is telling the big head what to do. So basically, since DJ cut off his love life, he was like, he's not sitting back. He wasn't taking it no more. So he basically gets DJ in a whole lot of different trouble. So, he like when DJ got out, he met an older lady, and, she basically, her husband died and everything, and she really wasn't really feeling DJ, but when Dick pushed up on her, he sealed the deal for both of them. So by accident, so he ends up, later on in the story, like, he meets the daughter, and, he like basically one day he's working. So it's like Dick is like, yo, DJ, like what's up with her? And DJ like, nah, we can't mess with her. Like we mess with her, we mess with her mom. So Dick started talking for him. He tell him like he don't care about what he got to say. He said he going up in there with her without him. So that's when this trouble starts. So basically he's ended up messing with both the mother and the father. So now it's like he's in a bond. Like who you be with? You know what I'm saying? Because his heart is with the daughter, but Dick don't want to let the mother go. And then you got like all these other characters that come through, throughout the story. So it's like he's always constantly getting a lot of different stuff. So
yeah, that does sound funny, man.
Yeah, and then my other story is like I said, Who Am I, the Chronicles of Cain basically starts off in Colombia, and it goes all the way down to the crackhead. But it's the dynamics of how everybody comes together, and it's like when you figure out who Cain is, that's when everything starts making sense. When you start figuring out who the main character is, and it's almost like a story within a story. And the best way I can explain my stories is like, you ever remember the movie The Sixth Sense?
Yeah, that was crazy.
Okay, you remember the whole time when you watching it, and you just never knew that Bruce Willis was a ghost, and then when you really see it, he's like, man, I gotta watch this over again. And that's basically how I write a lot of my books. So it's like,
wow,
if you're the type of reader that just like a straight up story and that's basic characters, then I'm not the writer for you. And I'll tell people that in a minute. I'm not that type of writer. 'Cause I can't stand books that if I could just read them and I know what's going to happen next. And I think that's a lot of things. Like I said, so going back to the prison, I started writing in the cell. So then as I started getting like new cellies, and they was reading the stories and they was liking it. So after that, I end up going to Texas, and then that's how the feds punish you. They'll send you like to the other side of the world.
Right.
I was in Texas, I didn't know nobody, so I stayed down there for like 2 years. Then they let me out, and it took me like a 3-day bus ride to get home. So when I came on the streets, I basically had, and this is after all the time, and that's a lot of people think. They think like when you're in the feds, now they're going to take everything from you. They're going to take every damn thing they can get from you. And when they send you on the street, you're not really going to have any money, because if you got a fine, they're going to make you pay the fine. So if you're making like, like you might work in the factory. They got these factories in there called Unicorn. Now, Unicorn makes everything from Army fatigues to helicopter wires. I mean, they make it all. So, depends on where you at. They got factories within prisons that actually make products for the military, furniture, stuff for schools, a whole lot of stuff. So that's like it's a $1 billion prison industry. But when you
get paid, but you don't get. So they give you a salary, but it's not really like what you make on the outside.
Nah, because they always try to say what they take here. So you might make $150 a month, but they're gonna take half of that. So then you got $150 a month, and in the feds they don't give you like a bunch of soap and all that. They might give you some soap, but it's like little bars and whatever. And the deodorant is like it's not. So you wanna go to the store and you gotta buy the basic necessities. You're gonna buy that, and then if you work out and you stay in shape, you're going to get hungry, and the meals ain't going to do it for you. So, you know, you want to need more. So basically, you end up spending a lot of that money back. And then, like I said, I educated myself. I taught the religious classes. You know, I was doing it, whatever I could do to make myself. I took up a dental technician where I learned how to make dentures. I took a soldering technician. I took a green mill technology. And, well, you know, I could use some of the skills, but like I said, when you get on the street, nobody really wants to hire you. So I came home, like I said, I had less than $100 in my pocket. Then I had to catch, you know, and glad that people was when I met a lot of people on the bus on my way back, so they would buy me food and stuff. And had they not did that, I wouldn't have had enough to pay the taxi cab to get to where I had to get to the halfway house. So they gave me basically like $40 and a bus ticket, and that's what you get. So you know, I got out, got a job, it was working and everything. So as when I got out, you know, I got back in contact with my manager because I hadn't talked to anybody who I really knew on the streets. Because I was so far away, and when they cut me off, I lost all my contacts. So basically, I was out of everybody's life. I didn't get to see my son grow up. You know, I seen my mother maybe like once because, like I said, I was so many miles away. I wasn't going to tell somebody to fly 500 miles to visit me for a couple of hours. It was like crazy. So a lot of people, when they got the families coming to see them, they actually got to travel to other states to see their relatives because they consider you to be close to home, and you anything within 500 miles of your home residence, that's what the feds consider you to be close to home.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
So how long were you gone? How long were you locked up in it for the feds?
I was in there from 97 to 2011, and I was actually, this was supposed to be the year I actually got out. So what happened was, and back in 2008, that's when they proposed for the crack amendment change. That's when they first did the first crack amendment. And that's when Obama, when he started running for president, so they had ended up, you know, everybody started, really was because it was what really changed the law was the fact that the housing industry went down. When the housing industry went down, that affected the prison economic center. So what they wanted to do, it's like a relief valve. They don't want to let everybody go, but they want to make it just enough where they can let certain individuals go. So they tweak the guidelines. So and the crazy thing, like I said, with the Supreme Court, everybody knows that, you know, crack cocaine and cocaine is the same thing. You can't have crack cocaine because, you know, cocaine is a hydrochloride, which is basically a salt, and then the crack cocaine is an alkaline. So in order to bring it back to its own self, basically when you're cooking it up with baking soda, you just bringing it back to its original, you know, alkaline, you know, instead of the salt. Now the hydrochloride form is the salt form, which basically, you know, that's how you get the powder, and the alkaline is the base. So with the base, you basically bring it back. So you can't have one without the other. So it's almost like the thing like you got your kids and you wanna tell your kids to you say, well, look, I don't want no dairy products in the house. And then one kid got a milkshake, you give them a 2-week punishment, and then the one that got the ice cream cone, you want to send it to him for 6 months. You know, that type of it's that type of thing. Right. So that was basically how, like I said, how it ran in the feds. And you know, like I said, when I came home, you know, I started working. I got with my manager, and that's when he was like, "Hey, man, you know, let me build a website." He's like, "I'm going to build websites now." So, you know, I got into that. I got my first website. It was like a WordPress website. You know, I got the little hang of it, and he was like, "Man, you know," because he always knew. He said, "You'll be good at it." You know, so I caught on, and like I said, because you know, in the Fed, you don't have no computer. You don't have no computers. You ain't get no. I mean, you can get cell phones. People get them, but it ain't worth the hassle to go through to hide it and all that stuff like that. So, right. You get some computer skills, but it's very close. You don't get that on the internet, and it's like everything is monitored. So you really don't.
Everything was new to you. So everything was new to you when you got out. Hey, look, Dion, we're gonna take a quick break, man, and then we come back. Man, we're gonna finish your story. Then we're gonna talk about your books real quick while we still got the time for the show. Cause, man, you're right, man. You probably did need a 3-hour show, man. You live quite a life, man. All right. Yeah. So hold tight, bro. We're gonna hear a message from Reese World Publishing. All right, hold tight, everybody. Message from Reese World Publishing.
Are you an avid reader of urban fiction, looking for drama, suspense, and more? Reese World Publishing is dedicated to bringing the world's best literature to our readers. Urban fiction, erotica, sci-fi, mainstream fiction, and children's literature are just some of the genres produced by our diversified family of authors. You can reach us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and at our website, www.reeseworldpublishing.com.
am recording artist Marilyn Dunn from St. Louis, Missouri. If you are looking for some soul-stirring, anointed, spiritual, and heartfelt music, visit my website at www.marilyndunnministries.com. Or you can also find me on CD Baby, iTunes, and Reverb Nation. For booking information, contact Mr. Kevin Dunn at 636-856-0551. That's 636-856-0551.
Hey everyone, this is Tanika Gonzalez, spoken word poet. Whenever I'm online, I'm always listening to Jerry Royce Live. You can find Jerry on www.spreaker.com. Positive Power 21.
You are listening to Jerry Royce Live Worldwide Podcast.
All right, we're talking to Dion Cheese, CEO of iUrban, iUrban.org, and author, Who Am I? The Chronicles of Cain, Explain-it-to-her-momma, and Caught Slipping. All right, Dion, we got you back, man. Quite a story with a life, man. It looked like a lot of it was caught up in the system, but you're back now. And one of the things that, we really respect you, that you're helping a lot of people understand the internet, the business part of it, which a lot of people still don't have a clue. But you have brought us some really good ideas when we was chit-chatting about how individuals should market themselves. Like, let's share some of that, man, while we still got time on the show. Some of the ideas you had with your website and how it can help individuals like authors, musicians, and folks just promoting through Amazon, those kind of folks. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, iUrban.org is basically, like I said, it's a platform. It's like a magazine. We have like a video section. We have a social site section. We have a resource directory where people that are members, they can come in if you graphics artists or a publisher or a musician or whatever. If you got some kind of services that you want to offer other people, then you're free to list your basically your credentials right there, your website links, and people can actually if they come in there, they can go to the resource directory, they can type in whatever they need. Like if I want to be on a blog talk radio and I'm looking for bloggers, I can type up then the Jerry Royce Live show comes in. It has your website links. People can leave reviews there and remarks and like I said, it's all free. And like I said, the only thing we do, we just charge for the advertising for the magazine. And like I said, I got asked to starting from $10. And one thing I have learned through my journeys is that, as a lot, and I'm not going to say this by everybody, it's like a lot of African Americans, they don't understand, like websites cost. They cost money. Somebody got to pay the pipe at the end of the day. So if you like a site and you're utilizing it and you see a person that's helping you, support the site. It's like if you take out a $10 ad, and a lot of times what I do is I try to give people back more than what they usually get. So, and I tell them, I say, look, go out on the web, search the web and look at the prices. I said, they'll be unbelievable. I mean, people walk in me and they say, well, how much you charge to do a book review? And I say, well, I usually charge like $50. So they're like, $50. Like I say, listen, I'm not here to read your book while you sit on your behind, and I'm gonna go ahead and read your book, write a real beautiful review on it, and I'm not gonna just write, hey, I like the book, but I'm talking about a detailed review, something that's verifiable, something that actually helps you in your creativity, and actually, and I have did a lot of reviews where people, when I posted them, like people buy the books just because of my review, and I gotta tell them, I'm gonna give you an honest review. I'm not for sale. You're not buying me for $50. You're buying my services, and for some reason they feel like, well, since I'm an author, or I'm this or I'm that they feel that they owe them. Like, you ought to be glad to read my book. And it's like, no. I mean, it's a lot of people out there that have talent, and like I said, people like you or whatever. If you don't have the money to support them, then you give them other things. You share their work. You tell others about it. I mean, like I said, everything is not always about money, but it's about giving back. So, and like I said, when I was locked up, nobody gave me anything. And then, like I said, when I started doing the books And I was like, well, wow, it's not really nowhere to advertise. And I mean, you got a few sites like the ALLBC and Expression, but like I said, I looked at a lot of those sites and they were kind of like dated to me. So
yeah,
and you know, I applaud them for what they did because they opened up a door. And I can tell people, like I said, the web is something to be utilized because you have a lot, like, you know, the web, you basically worldwide. Everybody can find you. I mean, if the web is doing what it's supposed to do. So I tell them, like, you know, I try to tell them stuff about like SEO, which is search engine optimization. I tell them how they can save money on, you know, I tell people, look, I got a way where you can produce a book for under $100 nowadays. And, you know, you got sites like Amazon, you know, and it seems like you're getting free services, but it's really not free. And I tell people, I said, look, nothing is really free on the web. You know, it's always got to be a cost involved somewhere. So, you know, what's crazy is like, for instance, like with Amazon. Now, Amazon, you know, you can basically publish your book for free if you know how to edit it or whatever, and you know how to do a little bit of graphics or whatever. But what people don't understand is like CreateSpace is owned by Amazon, so they'll print your book up, and you know probably the cost of them to print up a 300-page book might only cost them $1. So they're going to charge the authors, you know, maybe like $4.89 for a full-fledged book, you know, but the point is, which is cheaper than most of the industry, because a lot of the industry, like, you know, like I tell them about like a lot of these shady publishers. So if you see anything with Author House on it, don't deal with them. The Author House, they're a bunch of crooks. So I expose them. And you got a lot of Facebook publishers and whatever. But like speaking of a place like Amazon, which they use the Mobi format, and basically everybody, you know, they sell you these commercials how good the Kindle is and all that. But you know what? I'd rather have an Android over a Kindle any day. Why? Because Android is an open platform system, and I can use whatever I want. So with Kindle, you only can use the Mobi format. It's basically, I look at them like being like Verizon. You know, Verizon uses CDMA technology. It's outdated. The only reason Verizon is in business, why? Because they have enough money to build their own phones. So they're in business. The rest of the world uses the GSM technology. It was almost like Beta and VHS. Beta was a better system, but VHS won because they did better marketing. So people need to educate themselves. And like when you do your book on Amazon, you know, just for them to put your book from CreateSpace to Amazon. Now this is crazy because they own both sites. So it's just like with me, I got two sites. If I really wanted to put somebody else's book and link it up to my Dion Cheese site, all I got to do is, like, once I do the article and I wanted to do it exactly the same way, it's just basically copy and paste it, embed the code or whatever. And it doesn't cost nothing once you get the system. So it's like, you know, when you sell a book on Amazon and people looking at it like, wow, he's getting a lot of money, but they don't realize that Amazon is taking at least like 70 to 85% of the profits.
Yeah,
so
they're taking a lot.
Yeah, so a lot of the authors are like, well, me, I'm not selling my book for 99 cents. People sell books for 99 cents. I'm not doing it because I spend a lot of time on my work. And if somebody is, because basically what people don't realize, if you're buying a book for somebody and you're paying 99 cents, that person more than likely if he's self-published, he's getting 35 cents. And if they're signed to like a lot of these what I call Facebook publishers, they usually, you know, they take half or whatever. So when I see people on Facebook posting day and night, and it's a bad platform, and you're working for 17 cents a book. You know what I'm saying? Yep. It's like my friend. I got a friend. You know, his name is Clarence Wiley, Port. You know, and he got a book coming out, and he called it, what do you call that? The Elephant Man Syndrome.
Elephant Man Syndrome.
He said because they're working for peanuts, and a lot of the publishers, what they'll do is, and a lot of people, and what's crazy because they'll sign with these people. And all they're really doing is they'll just get a cover made for them, and the cover might cost them anywhere maybe like $125 on average. Okay, so you get somebody an ebook cover, which they can actually go on Fiverr, probably make one for $5. It might not be the best, but you can get a cover done. But if you really want more professional, you're gonna look between $75 to $100. They don't edit the books, they don't review the books, and they just throw them up on Amazon, and they'll sign maybe like 30 authors. Or whatever. So you figure you sign 30 authors, and what they'll do, they go sell your books to your friends, post it on Facebook. They're on Facebook posting the same thing day in, day out. So this person might make $100 and a couple of $100. And what happens is, so if I got a publishing company and I got 30 authors and I make $100 from each author, that's $3,000 a month right there. But they ain't making nothing but $100. So they're not making nothing. So they feel like how you was, like me and you were talking earlier. They feel like they got to put a book out every other month. No, you got to market the books that you have, and you have to believe in yourself. And one thing I tell the people, if you're not willing to invest in yourself, don't expect me to buy your book. I'm not buying your book if you don't invest in yourself, because I buy a lot of authors' books. I read a lot. I'm not, and what kills me too, and I'm like, how are you an author and you don't read? You know, I hear a lot of, well, I don't have time. So if you don't have time to read somebody else's book, then why should I read your book? Why should I take the time to look over your stuff? Because you're not looking at mine.
All the time. They write. They writing 3-4 books a month. It's like when you get to read.
And the stories is like crap. Like, you know what? I couldn't do that when I was in prison, and I was in a hole 24/7, and I was writing, and I could not write a book every month because, you know, when you're doing a story and you're doing a good plot line, you got to have three-dimensional characters. You're going to put some time. You're going to give some thought to that story. And don't get me wrong. Like I said, I never had writer's block or anything like that. But those are the things that a lot of them have to do. They have to understand that if you're going to build a brand takes years to build. You're not going to be an overnight success. And I hear a lot of people say, well, I was a bestseller on Amazon. You know what? You can sell 10 books if you're in the right category. You can sell 10 books and be a number one bestseller. There's nothing. Every book I had made the top 100. Every book I had made the top 100. But guess what? Still got to have a day job. I tell them when you're successful, it's like, you know, when you become somebody like Dean Koontz and Stephen King or, you know, Maya Angelou or, you know, one of those people like that, and you write because you want to write, then you're a successful writer. You know, that's how I look at success. Success is like, you know, you do it when you want to do it, not because you have to do it. And I mean, like I said, they got authors out there like Amanda Hocking. She writes books about you know, I know this is a Christian show. I'm gonna say I'm trying to get a decent word. She writes about Bigfoot slong. She actually writes books about basically bestiality. You know, these people are actually, you know, which is disgusting. I mean, but this lady's making like $20,000 a month. You know, and they got the nerve to talk about urban fiction. They say, well, you know, they're talking about the drugs and the crime. Hey, you know what? This stuff actually happens. Now, don't get me wrong. A lot of people glorify it. I mean, I don't glorify it in my books. I don't glorify it because, you know what? At the end of the day, I know about the handcuffs. I know what it's like to be away from your family. I know what it's like not to have, you know, to watch your son grow up. You know what I'm saying? To lose your loved ones. I mean, it's like you lose your identity almost. So, you know, I'm not one to write a book about, you know, glorifying drugs and glorifying that life because it's nothing to glorify. So, it may be in a way, it might be harsh sometimes in some of the things that people see. But you know what? If you want the experience, then the Chronicles of Cain is for you because it takes you from the top all the way down to the bottom. So, you know, like one of the guys is in there, he's a military man, you know, and this guy didn't do anything, but he got pulled in, you know. So these are the type of things that people need to know. And like I said, when they see the word urban, they kind of look at he's illiterate. This person can't write. And I will tell you, like I said, my book Caught Slipping, I couldn't classify it as urban because it's not. You know, it's not no slang in it. It's not a whole lot of, you know, whatever. But like now my other books, it has some slang in it, but I don't write. You know, I don't narrate like that, and a lot of the authors don't know how to narrate or whatever. So, you know, we write articles that's on the site. You know, I got what's called the Urban School. You know, and it basically is when I say urban, I'm talking about the urban experience, the cultural experience of like, you know, not just African Americans, but like of all cultures. Because, like I said, even though I wanted the site to be predominantly African American, others are welcome, and because I think it's good to mix up ideals. But at the same time, we didn't have a platform for us because a lot of our tastes are different than their tastes. And there's nothing wrong with that because that's why you have cultural differences. But it shouldn't make you ignorant. It shouldn't make you, you know, it shouldn't bring about stupidity. Like, it's like you know, I didn't want them to, every time you click on iUrban.org, the only way I can get you there is to show a half-naked woman on it. That's not going to happen either. So, that's how, like I said, that's how I built the platform. So, like I said, we got the videos. I'm trying to get the movies in. You know, I invite people like you. Like I said, you can share your links into the site. And me, if they're really interested, I'll build a whole section for that. So people can actually go to the site and they can discover other things, you know. Because like I said, to me, it's not about the competition. It's about helping individuals coming together, having our own award show. And, you know, I used to hear a lot of authors talk about BET. They was like, oh, you know, BET. I said, listen. Do your research. BET is owned by an 83-year-old, well, now he's probably like 85, an 85-year-old billionaire white guy. And I'm pretty sure that everybody will, you know, nobody will argue with me that 85 years ago that we were living in a racist society. I mean, like way more racist than it is today. And I mean, it was no problem for them to call you the N-word. So why are you not on BET? Because he don't really care about BET. That's why BET basically has the shows that it has on it now. I don't watch BET. So I really don't even watch TV.
Yeah, it's awful. That was an awful program, man.
Yeah, so
right.
And I see a lot of talent out there. And what's crazy, like I said, I see a lot of guys. They make like my friend, my friend Clarence. He, he was starring in the series called The Underground Kings. It was something like, kind of like The Wire, but it had like his own little flavor to it. And I seen this show, and I'm like, wow, man, let me contact this guy. So, me and him, we became good friends, and so, this guy is very motivated. He's pushing himself. So I said, well, let me reach out and help this guy, because the guy he's shooting the film with, it's like he's kind of like a little sidetrack. And I'm like, look, why don't you put this on another platform and you can get sponsors? Because like they'll understand when you just throwing your stuff on YouTube, you're basically giving the money to Google. You're not getting nothing for yourself. So if you're gonna go out there and film something, get actors and whatever, make sure that you can remunerate them and give them some kind of pay in exchange for their services. And people gotta understand
So Dion, so what you saying? So he'd be able to run his webinars off of your platform and
it would be and that's what I would say. They would be able to do the platform, and then when people buy ads, it's like regular TV. The web is basically the new TV station. So with the streaming and everything like that, hell, you can do everything you can do on the radio. On the radio or TV, you can do it on the web now. So and the prices can be a lot cheaper, and you can actually get to the home of the individual. And a lot of authors need to utilize this. And like I tell them, it's like with that web, when I do an ad. Sometimes it takes me a whole day to do an ad for somebody. I mean, I put my heart into it. I'm not going to give you some, crappy little ad. You're paying your money, so you deserve the best. So, and my thing is, don't come and Jew me down, and then you want to go over here and talk to this guy and try to pay him full price. And I mean, that's what people will do. Like, and like I said, me, I try to get back in some kind of way. We all got it hard. But one thing for sure, what I see the mistake that a lot of authors do, you want to write the book, but you don't think about the promotion. You should be thinking about how you're going to promote your product before you put the pen to the paper. And that's one of the things that they should always remember. Start looking at your avatar, and that's what I want to do with iUrban. And I invite you, because like I said, you got a wonderful platform. I want people to know about you. And I will recommend and send people your way, because I tell them, hey, look, if you're looking for exposure, you're trying to get known, hey, go to this guy, but, also try to patronize this guy. If you got it, man, let them know, hey, look, I don't have it all. Maybe you got a payment plan or whatever. Maybe he can help you. But the whole point is you need the different platforms in order to get the word out. So if you're not willing to do that, you're not willing to invest. And what kills me, they'll talk about they ate shrimp dinners, but then you don't want to spend $10 in your little crappy book, but then you want somebody to buy it. And I say crappy because a lot of them cannot write. I mean, like you say, everybody has a story to tell, but everybody can't write a story. So
everybody can't write it.
and I'll be the first to tell them that. So it's like, and another thing that kind of peeved me off, because I think they think that authors can't say, like, when somebody reviews their book and they leave them a bad review, and they say, well, the authors can't say nothing back. And I'm like, man, like, listen, we all human, but my thing is I can take criticism, but don't sit up there and say, because you didn't understand it. Like one time I got a thing, and I had a 4-star review. And I read the review, and I was kind of like pissed off, because I'm looking at the story like the one I was saying about the explain-it-to-her-momma story. So the character, like in my other books, I don't really tell you. I let you figure it out, because there's a lot of characters that, like in my books, some are all real, and then some of them are not real. So you'll know it as you read in the story. But the main character of the Dick Johnson story, he's telling you, he tells you exactly who he is, and you're reading the story and you're telling me I'm confused, like, who is this? And I'm like, are you serious? so I mean, those type of things kind of like, yeah, it's busy. But you know what? At the end of the day, everybody has an opinion. And as long as I do my best, that's all that matters. And and a lot of people, what they do, they'll give up. And one thing, like I said, you look at books like 50 Shades of Grey. It took that book 5 years to make it big. Look at what's that other book? The Lord of the Rings. That was written back in the 1930s. It's just now becoming a blockbuster. So I tell people, like I said, you just never know when your time is going to come. But you got to be in it, like Lotto. You got to be in it to win it. And if you're not in it, then you're not going to get nowhere. I mean, you got to be willing to invest.
Marathon. That's right. Take your time. All right, Dion, we're going to take a quick break, man. And we come back, man. We're going to get your final thoughts to my audience. I mean, you pretty much broke it all down, man, the way it should be explained. Matter of fact, man, you ought to do a webinar, man. You ought to just go ahead and tape a segment on how you feel, what people are doing wrong out there, because they are doing wrong, and they all following each other's lead. Somebody got to take the lead, and it's hard to just get on here and bash a person's method of promoting themselves because they're making peanuts, like you said. It's the elephant man syndrome. But they got to understand they are playing the game wrong. I mean, like you said, the internet is just like TV, but it's an open platform. It's just you have to find the one that's going to work. And right now, it's like they working hard. And then they spinning in mud right now, and they can't get out. And that's why they still work. And that's why they still working that job that they don't like. Because they're not spending time branding their name. Instead, they're just throwing titles behind titles. Everybody want a trilogy. I'm starting to see a lot of that too. A lot of trilogies, and it's like, well, I didn't understand the first one. Because they're not really. And then the pages are only 130 pages, and it's like, is that it? There's something missing. So it's like. We need somebody to take the lead and throw a webinar out there and explain how you're really supposed to play this game. How it really works. So hold tight, man. We're gonna listen to this commercial real quick. When you come back, man, you can summarize your thought, and then we all right, man. Okay. All right. Yeah. Here we go. Bill Powers, everybody.
Think you know how drugs get in those little brown bottles? Think again. Set in the green hills of western New Jersey, inside the gilded halls of power of a U.S. pharmaceutical company where decisions are worth billions of dollars and human lives worth less. Nicholas Harding, a young executive at Marshall Pharmaceutical, finds his career, family, and life in jeopardy. The Farmhouse, a suspense thriller novel by Bill Powers, published by Donna Inc. Publications, available at Amazon.com or DonnaInc.org. Go to Bill's webpage at www.author.BillPowers.com.
All right, that's right. Bill Powers, man, check it out. What a story. He took his time. This guy, he lived and worked in the industry for years, got an opportunity to retire, and he knows the industry. The pharmaceutical industry is a deep, deep secret. And check out his book. All right, everybody, we talking to Dion Cheese. My man, he need to do a webinar for us, man, because he knows how this machine is supposed to work. He knows how it's supposed to work. And like you said, there's not a lot of places that people can advertise. They think Facebook is it, but Facebook has figured this thing out too. And they know that if you're not working this thing the way you work it, and their whole objective is to keep you on it. If it's 24 hours in a day, they want you to be on it for 24 hours, and that's their whole objective. So if you really want to use Facebook the way it's intended to be used, you have to buy advertise. That's the name of the game. You got to spend some money, because free is like a flyer. If you hand out 500 flyers, how many people you think going to come to your party? Probably 5. So you probably got to triple that number to see 15. So that's exactly what Facebook is. When you're out there posting all night, it's like handing out a flyer on the street. The people that you don't have an idea who they are and if they're even coming. When you buy an ad, it's almost like an invite. They know they're sending it to the people who fit your profile. And just like urban.org and positivepower.org, when you buy the advertising, we know who our audience are. I know who my people are. Maryland, Virginia, D.C., they're government workers. They make good money. They own devices. They own Androids. All the stuff that Dion talked about. We know who our people are. So, come on board. We're building a platform so it can work for you. Dion, his numbers are good. My numbers are good. We do get traffic. So we invite you guys to come out and sponsor our site. And like you said, we're not asking for a whole lot of money. You don't need a payment plan to advertise with me. Eventually, who knows? But right now, you don't need a payment plan. I'll work with you. So we're going to get Dion back on here. We're going to get him to close us out. And don't forget that you can get the Chronicles of Cain, Explain-it-to-her-momma, and Court Slipping. I think all three are available on Amazon. I did see Chronicles of Cain, Who Am I, on Amazon going for $2.99, the Kindle price. And that's pretty much it. That's Dion. He told us a lot. He gave us a lot today. I'm classified this as a webinar. All right, Dion, I'm going to let you back on because I had you on mute, man, because y'all had some background noise going on, man. Welcome back, man. Dion Cheese.
All right.
Welcome back. All right, man. So you ready to close this out, man? Summarize what you think people need to know?
Yeah, people, like I said, make sure that if you got a brand, make sure that you advertise, make sure that you get the word out. Start utilizing, the platforms that are built for us, that's built for the type of audiences that you're looking to market in. You can't go over there. I hear a lot of people cry about being in Barnes and Noble and everything like that, but and they're not going to. Some of the titles that they have, especially when it comes to like Urban Lit or whatever, they're not going to put your books on the front shelf. They just are not going to put the black faces on there. And like I said, they want to see a real ad. Come on to iUrban.org, and they can compare my ads to Amazon, and I guarantee you'll get a better deal on iUrban.org. And like I said, especially with your show, they get to hear your side of the story. And this is wonderful to be on the radio, to be able to connect with the people, to let them hear what you got to say. And me, I'm all about the positive. So, and I tell people, if you got a view and you got something to express, go ahead and express it, but just express it in a way where people are going to understand it. Make sure your message is clear. And like you said, it's going to resonate. And then, like with sites like mine, sites like them, like one guy, he asked me one time, he said, well, how many people do you get? And I'm like, well, are you buying an ad? And if you're buying an ad or whatever and you support, then I'll take the time to send you the Google Analytics and show you how much traffic I get, who's looking at what or what they do. And that's the whole thing that, these sites, and like I tell people, it's not free. The site is free, but what I'm saying, being on the web is not free. So you gotta help support the people like you. Like I said, you can't work a 9 to 5, then set up and get a show for people like me. So, and like I said, soon as, cause like I said, I got a budget every month, but as soon as I get some extra money, coming up, hey, I'm coming back to you. Hey, Jerry Roy's like, hey, let me buy an ad from you. Why? Because I appreciate what you're doing, and I understand what it means to give back, and that's what people got to be willing to do. They got to be willing to give back. And I sent out a message the other day on Facebook, and I said, you know what? When a lot of people throwing these events, it's not that people don't come because your book sucks or your words suck or your cover is ugly. No, I said it's your attitude, it's your character. Your character is ugly because you have to support others. Like I said, I'm busy, but I'll take the time, and I see somebody over here doing an interview or something, and I'll let them know I'm there. I ask them a question. I'll share it, through the media form, but you know what? At the end of the day, they don't even come back and say thank you. A lot of them. So, and the next time that they come back, the door's gonna be closed. Like I tell them, I was like, look, it's not that I need to have them, because I remember when I first started my Dion Cheese site, I only had like 12 people come to see me, and then a few months later, I had like 2,000 people come to see me. So, and I got. Between Facebook, between my 2 pages now, my Dion Cheese got 4,000 plus, and then my other page got almost like, the iUrban, which is still kind of new, it's got like 1,900 followers. But like you said, with Facebook, they cut you off. You really don't get the news feed, and they're cracking down on the people that think they're getting these free advertising. They're not going to keep doing it. So.
Yeah.
Like I said, eventually the doors will close. And like I said, you got to, like you said, the most important thing is to figure out who you're marketing to, what type of audience you're trying to reach, and that's where you should be advertising at.
Yep. And one of the things I want to tell people too, it's a woman out there who's she specializes in Facebook. She used to work for Tony Robbins when he was trying to figure out social media. She came aboard. Her name is Amy Potterfield. She can really give you a strong explanation how Facebook really works, and she's been on a number of people's shows who do Google Hangout, and she's on camera telling you that you're not getting anything free. You're not getting anything. You're reaching like 6%, maybe 16% if you're in there for 20 hours posting. I'm hearing people posting 300 times a day in these groups, and you're only reaching 16%. So if you got 3,000, 4,000 followers, you're only reaching 16% of them, especially because they may miss your feed. And people are now allowing you to post to their timeline, so they're not going to see what you're doing. So you have to find a platform similar to yours, similar to mine, where people can come right to the website. Like, you can listen to my show right from my website, and while you're there, you're looking at people's ads, and you can click on it and buy it, right? Right on the spot. And
another thing, not to cut you off, another thing a lot of people don't realize is that when they first do an ad, and that's why it's good to buy monthly packages, because it takes a person 6 to 9 times to see an ad before they even respond to it.
That's right.
So a lot of these companies. Yeah, a lot of these companies like Coca-Cola and all that, they got these big boy budgets, so they can do that. And that's why, I remember one day I was watching on Facebook and I seen the guy say, he was like, well, how much would you do for a book? He said he wouldn't pay no more than $50 for an ad. So And he was like, well, maybe if I was on Oprah, he said he might spend $100. I'm looking at this guy, and I started laughing. I said, because it costs $50,000 minimum to advertise on Oprah Winfrey's site. That's the minimum. It's $50,000. So they think that the websites are cheap, because like I said, the greater the traffic, the more the price is going up because you're reaching a greater audience. And like I said, in order to have that traffic, you have to have the equipment in order to handle that traffic. Because it ain't like, you're just throwing it up on your computer and you got this website running and a million people is logging on your website. It doesn't work like that. And that's,
knock it down.
It shut down in a minute. So
that's right. And that platform I'm running on to carry this show, they're one of the biggest, most powerful platforms on the planet right now, bigger than Blog Talk. And Spreaker this guy has put some money into this system, man, and that's why it sounds so good. If you listen to any of my shows, even on a bad snowy blizzard day that we've had a couple weeks ago, I still have better signals than Blog Talk. And
I can tell. I can tell because I did quite a bit of talk shows now, and I can understand every word you're saying. I don't have to say, huh, what? I didn't have to say that one time.
That's right. Now when we're recording that, it's a really strong platform too. They got bridges all over the world, and this company is so big that's hosting this right now. What we're doing now is recording, that they can afford to give this service for free because they make so much money. What they do with corporate America and European companies, that they give this platform away for free, and that's why I like it. So I do all my recording, and the Spreaker is more designed for like DJs and maybe like if you hook up with Skype, but because Skype doesn't really run that well in my area, it drops a lot of the calls. That this platform right here is a lot better for me to be able to record it, then upload it, because this is a high definition audio. So I know you're going to sound exactly where you sound to anyone you're talking to on your phone, especially cell phones. Like you said, the bandwidth and everything is so strong.
Yeah, what I like to do, like I said, because I'm gonna see about, like I said, with the MP3 thing, whatever, or if you run on YouTube a lot, what I can do is I'll try to, if you start letting me know, I'll create a spot just for you on the site that, like I said, when people come through there, I'll link, any recordings or embed it to my site where they can be able to listen to your broadcast.
I've seen your plan. Yeah. Matter of fact, I've seen your plan. Matter of fact, let's go ahead and close this show, and I'll tell you exactly what we could do, man, since you're interested in carrying our program. All right, everybody, we just heard from Dion Cheese. Don't forget, you can get the Chronicles of Cain, Explain It to Her Mama, of course, slipping on Amazon. Also, you can visit his site, so the money can go directly to him, and it's iUrban.org. Again, that's author Dion Cheese, African-American writer, and he's looking for your support, and he's supporting us, and that's the main thing. That's what we got to look at. We got to think wisely. And again, if you guys really want to understand how Facebook, everything that Dion just talked about has been published by I'm talking about major worldwide consultant Amy Potterfield. She will explain to you exactly how Facebook works. You actually have people out there trying to explain how Pinterest works, how Twitter works. And then once you start figuring out how these things really work, then what Dion said to you will really, really make more sense to you. And we appreciate you sharing that, Dion. I mean, you could have took the whole show and talked about your book, but you didn't, because you care. You care about our people. You want to make sure they do this thing right. All right, man. So we can ready to close out. Thank you, everybody, for listening to us. I'm Jerry Royce Live. All right, let me go ahead and end my show. They got me worked up now. I got to slow me down. All right, hold tight, y'all. Here we go. I'm Jerry Royce Live worldwide, and stay awesome all week long. Thank you for tuning in to Jerry Royce Live on PositivePower21.org and Spreaker.com/PositivePower21. This is a Royce Enterprises production. And don't forget about replay on Facebook.com/Jerry Royce Live.
I told you, man, you should make me a film real quick, man. I can do that, right?
All right, y'all. That's a wrap. Jerry Royce Live worldwide.